Hello, you're listening to Hibs Talk. I'm your host as always, Gav. Joining me today is Dave.
Alright.
And Stephen.
Hello.
How you doing, guys?
I'm good, mate. You?
Good. Episode 100.
Ken.
So you guys said, oh, you want to do this podcast, we'll help you get it started until you can find other people that are keen to do it. And
nobody took it.
No, there's definitely people that have came on board and helped out and stuff, but yous are still here. So is it grown on yous doing the podcast?
Yeah, I like coming and getting coffee and cake. We've actually stopped doing the cake.
We've been lacking cake.
We moved on to Empire
I can't
biscuits.
believe 100th episode we never got a cake.
That's your fault, Gav.
But for the 50th...
It was my turn, yeah. You got the 50th, so it would have been my turn to do it for the 100th.
But we had 2 cakes for the 50th because me and Stephen thought we'd both bring a surprise. We ended up with 2 cakes. It's a 100th episode and we've got no cake. What's that all about?
We'll sort that out for next week. We can have one a post-celebration cake next week. So, how's your guys' weekend been?
It's been alright, mate.
Aye.
Obviously a wee sucker punch with that last minute goal. I think it could have been much better, but
you're getting quite... I've been really positive post because I thought the first 60 minutes were brilliant, especially the first half.
I said that.
I know, but like because I'm being really happy and positive and cheery about the game, you're having a go at me and for no being
I'm annoyed we conceded late on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm annoyed about that.
But
I'm a bit annoyed about that, whether it's a new manager or no new manager.
But to me, I think that issue's been there, and the manager can't fix that overnight. That issue's been there. I think if Horgan hadn't scored against Motherwell, then the same thing would have happened.
What?
So,
we would have conceded.
Aye.
That's all like ifs and buts.
Aye, I know. But we did have that clinical touch against Motherwell. We never had it against... because we have a good few chances we should have put away against Killie. But we'll talk more about the Killie game in a minute. So, the episode 100, we thought we'd do a couple of special things. We were meant to have another special thing, but that kind of fell through. So we've got Jamie Murray, of course, well-known tennis player, and Big Hibee on the podcast chatting to us. And I had a chat with Graeme Mathie, our sporting director, a lot longer than I chatted a few weeks ago with him. So had a good 45-minute chat with him, asking about his role, about recruitment, about some stories that were kind of behind the scenes and stuff. So that's still to come. We were meant to have a Scottish Cup winner as well. However, that's due to some circumstances that's not happening today, but you've still got that to look forward to, and hopefully in the coming weeks, if not in the new year. But yeah, unfortunately we couldn't have that for the 100th. But so he's awfully quiet. What's been your sort of...
I'm just letting you talk.
What's been your favourite moments in the podcast?
There was that time that Stephen brought artisan cheesecake.
You're all about the cake, eh?
We'd been going for a spell, obviously Scott mid cakes and that, and then the game got up to a wee bit. That was nice. That was a good episode.
Yeah.
And then the episodes where we discovered the Empire biscuits were good episodes as well.
But what about the actual recording of the podcast? Stephen, any highlights?
The coffee's in.
No, I think probably any games where we beat... after we beat Hearts, that was a good one.
Yeah.
But it's actually sometimes quite good to come on and just tell a wee rant if we get beat.
Just every now and then, though.
Quite therapeutic.
Yeah. But highlights for me were probably getting to speak to Paul Hanlon on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. I really liked you and Cameron coming on.
A lot of folk didn't.
Yeah, I know. But it was our first proper guest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he was sound enough to come on, had a bit of a laugh and banter on that, so folk didn't like him, fair play. I quite like the guy, so that's probably one of my highlights because it kind of got the ball rolling a wee bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was better getting him on after we beat them as well, though.
It was good, fair play to him. He said, I'll come on win, lose or draw. I'll come back on next week post game, and he did, and he came back on. So that was good of him.
But we've had quite a lot of decent
I liked Fontaine. Fontaine was a really good, some really good stories. Really honest guy. He's doing obviously a lot of good stuff now with Liam Fontaine meets, and I think he's had the local charity awards this week, which was really good. So handing out awards and stuff. So he was a lovely guy. Mickey Weir's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. That was really, really good.
Yeah. Going into the dungeon with Paul Kane, that was interesting as well.
The bottom of Ryan's bar. Wasn't the best for the audio. There's some background noise of the coffee getting made and stuff, but lessons learned from that. But no, it was really good. He was a really nice guy as well.
Running theme is everybody's been quite sound.
Aye.
And seems seem to want to get involved in that in some way, shape or form if we've been looking for folk, and that goes down to everybody that's phoned in or helped or like. No, it's been decent.
And getting to do the Star Sixes as well was good.
Fans bit, aye, that was good.
There was England versus Scotland, and we got to play in the Scotland one with a couple of Celtic boys and a couple of the Motherwell podcast guys and stuff, and that was really good. And then got to stick around for the Sunday and do some interviews. But Dean Shields and stuff who we'd interviewed in the podcast prior to it was a bit ill, so we had to do Jackie McNamara. Was the best we could kind of get, and he didn't even play for Hibs, which a lot of folk pointed out on that as well.
Dean Shields was talking shit, he just couldn't have bought onto us. Convinced it.
No, after the last time.
Yeah.
And then at the night, the free drinks and stuff, how sound was Colin Murdoch?
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah, to the point where we couldn't really get rid of him. I think he was just really happy that somebody was paying quite a lot of attention to him, considering like Petrov, Van Hooijdonk and all that.
Joe Cole and all them.
Mendieta.
They're all sitting over there.
And somebody was like, alright, Colin Murdoch.
Hi, Colin.
He was like, what? Aye, anyway.
But aye. No, it's been great, and it's good to reminisce, but aye, it's on to the next 100.
Aye,
I thought we were stopping here.
Nah. Sorry.
Worth a try.
But move on, because we're in danger of turning into one of the episodes of something that kind of in Friends where they do like flashbacks and all that, and I hate them.
Fair enough.
I'm like, I've seen all this. I don't care.
And even at episode 100 we still hate the Rangers.
Yes, but that was a shea given. But aye.
That one's a shout out for John Smith.
Aye, on Twitter, if anybody's seen a guy had to go at us for calling them Sevco in a tweet. I thought it was funny. I really had
everybody go and follow him.
Aye.
He's 6 followers. He was as well just texting the folk that like our tweet rather than
I retweeted it, so it's probably the most exposure he's ever got. But aye,
sure he'll have loads of bears and that after him. And berettes. Whatever they fucking call themselves. Bunch of weird bastards, man.
Anyway, well, we're going to cut to our chat with Jamie Murray, looking back at the Kilmarnock game, but also having a chat to him about his career and about his life as a Hibs fan. Joining us is Jamie Murray. How you doing, Jamie?
Good, thanks. Yeah.
First sort of question then, I guess, is well known that you're from Dunblane and stuff. So why Hibs then?
Why Hibs? So my mum's side of the family support Hibs because my grandpa he played from a little bit in the late 50s, early 60s, and yeah, growing up, like my dad, he used to take us through to the games. My uncle and aunt were season ticket holders for a long time, and yeah, that's why we got into Hibs. Yeah.
So how was it kind of growing up supporting a team you knew your granddad had played for?
I don't know. I guess it's just that side of the family support Hibs, so that's just what you do, right?
Yeah.
You follow your family's team. My dad's half actually, they supported Celtic, but we grew up in Dunblane where all my mum's side of the family was. So I guess that's why we kind of immigrated or towards Hibs. But yeah, I mean when we were growing up, we used to come every week to home and away. We live in Dunblane, so it's perfect for getting to a lot of the away games. We're right in the centre of Scotland, so yeah, we used to come all the time and support the guys through thick and thin, I guess.
Yeah, so obviously you're a 7-time Grand Slam winner, also a former world #1 doubles player. We've seen a wee bit of ball control from Andy. How good are you with a ball at your feet?
Maybe not as good as him, but I could handle myself. We got a game next Wednesday. Got an 11-a-side game down in London with a bunch of the tennis guys and some of our friends and stuff. So looking forward to that. We used to do it every year. We haven't done it for like 5-6 years. So it'll be interesting to see if we still got it or not. Everyone fancies themselves as a player, though, don't they? Bloody hell.
Were you ever at a point where you could have chose between football and tennis, or were you always tennis?
Always tennis for me. I was never. I played a lot like 5-a-sides and stuff growing up with my dad and his friends. I never really played for like a junior team or anything like that. Whereas Andy did. He played a lot of 11-a-sides growing up. But me, I was more into like tennis and golf.
Growing up, did you have a favourite player? Like, who's your favourite Hibs player?
I mean, like when I was young, really young, like Magic Michael O'Neill, Mickey Weir, Keith Wright, and then obviously when I got a bit older, it was like Frank Soze, Russell Latipe. I think Frank Soze was probably the best player I ever saw play for Hibs. We've had some good players over the years. Paul McGinley.
What about the current team? You've got a favourite for the current team?
Maybe probably Lewis Stevenson, just because he's been there for forever. Paul Hanlon as well, I guess. But I mean, they brought in a lot of new players and stuff. So, like, even like the start of the season for me, when you like get, thinking about the new season and stuff, like I was finding it in a way kind of like hard to really get behind the team. So I didn't really know a lot of the players, because I think they brought in like 10 guys over the summer, and then obviously not even a lot of those guys were even playing in the team for, a lot of them were kind of on the bench and stuff. I mean, Ryan Porteous, he is kind of managed by Andy's management team as well, so and Fraser Murray as well, so obviously like always rooting for them, and hope those guys go on to have really good careers.
What have you made sort of Hibs this season then, from what you've seen?
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen lots. This is the first time I've actually been to a game live, but it's also the first time I've been in Scotland since the season started. So, I kind of, I've obviously followed the results all the time, and if I can watch on a Saturday afternoon on a kind of dodgy live stream and stuff, then I try to do it. But I listen to you guys quite a lot, so it kind of always kind of gives you a good grasp of like what's going on. It's obviously today was basically kind of summed up what's been happening a lot this season. So, hopefully with new manager that kind of that can change, and they kind of, I guess, probably do a better job of like seeing out games and game management and stuff. But I guess it's sport, like it can happen. But today was obviously difficult. It kind of feels like they lost in a way.
Aye, it's because you feel that when you're kind of walking out the ground, there's a lot of people. As if we'd been beat, you especially, Dave, you were fuming.
And I was freezing.
Yeah, it's not a good combination.
Missed the second goal.
I did. I try to get a hot drink to warm yourself up.
Yeah, we were coming back in, blooming biggest noise of the season.
Some hit by
it's amazing goal. It's amazing goal. It's like, oh no.
We were.
And it only got worse from there.
I know. We were the ones that were sent down for the tea, and Gav's saying, "Oh, I'll get me a cup of tea. Get me a cup of tea." I think Gav would get a goal, and that is just.
That's what I was saying to Stephen. See the amount of people when that goal went in that
just left the queue.
Ran out the queue. As if they could go out and see a replay. I was like, what are you doing? We just got to advance forward, so...
Maybe next season they told us they're going to get scoreboards in between the... in between the two stands. I think on either side, they said, yeah. So they're going to get big screens. So I don't know if that will then show replays or not, but you'd hope so. You don't really need the bigger screen that just shows the score in bigger font, really, do you? You've already got that.
So are you quite excited about Jack Ross' appointment?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, one of my good friends, he is like lifelong Sunderland fan, and he's like home and away Sunderland. Doesn't miss a game. And I was asking him like, what do you think? And he said like the fans really liked him, and he was a good guy, got on well with the supporters, and was a really good kind of person for front man for the club. He said just didn't really work out, because I think he said Sunderland had quite a lot of issues and stuff going on, but hopefully things go well. he seems like he's got a good reputation and stuff. We just talked to him there for 5 minutes. Seemed like really really decent guy, and obviously hope it goes well for him and for Hibs. Yeah. So
quickly, and what was your kind of thoughts on today's game then?
Well, they played. Again, it's the first game I've seen this season, but I thought they played really well first half. Like, they're knocking about well. You could see that, or you could feel like they'd won a couple of games. They were feeling good, and new manager in as well. Obviously they kind of conceded that goal, and then things kind of started to change a bit, and they drop a bit sort of deeper and deeper, and you could feel like everyone getting a bit more anxious about how long, if they were going to see this game out or not, and the clock goes slower and slower, and it was obviously a bit of a sickener the way it finished. But I guess positives, like they can see how well they can play. And Kilmarnock are a decent team, like tough to break down, and I think they're definitely positives for them going forward, and I guess the more time the new manager spends with them, he can kind of put down his sort of imprint on the team and use the players that he wants to use. And yeah, I don't see why they can't. They still can't have a good season.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying that, David, sort of like probably one of the best first halves we've seen in a long time. I'm struggling
since Lennon, I think.
Really?
A bit of intensity. It was, the fans were up for it too. Like players like pressing, and there was an interest for me. The last 20 minutes sat off. We kind of lost that a wee bit.
I think the difference was like last week against Motherwell, 2-1. We then went up the park with a counter attack and we scored it, and and then I think there was 2 counter attacks I can think of. One where Horgan kind of got to the byline and put that cross over too much, and then there was one where Mallon was in the box and hit it with his left foot, probably had more time than he realised. I think if either of them, got 3-1, we see out the game.
Yeah.
It's just that sort of difference. So a bit unfortunate there. So final kind of thoughts on the rest of the season then, Jamie. What's your kind of thoughts for Hibs this season?
Well, I think, everyone that we spoke to today seemed really positive about the appointment of Jack Ross and where the club can go under him. And yeah, I mean, they've only, how many games they played this season?
Is it 12 now?
Yeah, so they're so they're about a third of the way through the season. So I mean, there's a lot of games to be played, and Hibs have got a good team. They got a good squad of players, I think, and why can't they finish getting a good run and compete for 3rd place or 4th place of Aberdeen and whoever else? Why not? I think they got the players to do that, and hopefully they got a good manager in place now as well.
So just to kind of finish up, now you're busy, so we'll let you go. But a couple of sort of tennis questions and stuff. So first one's kind of like I guess a kind of scenario kind of one, hypothetical kind of one. So obviously you're known for being a doubles player. If you could choose a tennis player from the past or present to play in a doubles with, who would you choose? And if you could choose a Hibs player from past and present, who would you choose? So who's the 2 people? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
Football, I'd probably choose Frank Sauzet because he was brilliant, but just like he was so composed on the park, and I think he helped a lot of those guys play to a better level, I think, which is an impressive thing to be able to do. For tennis wise, I don't know really. I think in sort of my generation, like Daniel Nestor, he was probably the best like individual doubles player, but probably I didn't quite play against him when he was at his peak. So, and I know how good he was when he was. So I would have liked to have played with him when he was at his peak, because he was pretty incredible.
You said you were really into your golf and your tennis growing up, but who was sort of your tennis heroes when you were growing up?
I mean, Tim Henman was obviously the guy that we looked up to because he was the British #1, and he was really good to me and Andy when we started to kind of come through and play on the tour. He was very good to us and gave us a lot of time and support. Foreign guys, I mean, I liked a Chilean guy, Marcelo Rios, who was a left-handed guy who got to #1 in the world. He never won a Grand Slam, but when I was sort of 14, 15, he was like #1 in the world, and he was a very good player. He's left-handed as well, so I was kind of drawn to that. Yeah, probably those 2.
Brilliant. So this has been the Davis Cup the last few weeks. How was Spain?
It was good. I mean, we had a good time. I mean, it was a new format. Obviously, things had changed. No one really quite knew how it was gonna turn out. But I think overall they did a good job. I think we got quite lucky with our matches, how they were scheduled, because we played in the morning in our group games. Some of the other countries played in the evenings, and the matches went on till very late at night. So I think our experience was probably maybe different to other countries depending on how the schedule was. But I think overall, I think they did a good job. I think it's a totally different event now to what it was before. But we had a lot of British fans that travelled and made it a great atmosphere for us to play in. A lot more British fans than there was from any other country outside of Spain. So, and obviously, like, we lost in the semi-finals. Like, we had to Spain, which was an incredible tie. A lot of it was really exciting. Like, that was a proper Davis Cup match, and it was a shame not to lose. Not to win. So we came so close, but I think overall it was a good experience for us, and we got a good group of guys in our team, like the players and the support staff and stuff. So because this year they played the full event in 1 week, so it was a totally different format. Yeah, so it's more like a World Cup of like football. So it's like, you know, you had your round robins, then you played in the playoffs, but they did it over 1 week. So they won the next night against Canada in the final.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Are you home for Christmas?
No, I'm not home for Christmas. I'm home this week, and then I'm going to Bogota. My wife's from Colombia, so we're going there for a few days to see her family, and then go up to Florida, train there for a couple of weeks, and then go to Phoenix for Christmas because my wife's brother lives there with his family, and then we go from there to Australia, and I'll be there for like a month.
And we're stuck here watching
yeah.
Hibs. Great.
I'm an Armadale.
So are you hoping to get back to many games in 2020?
I hope so. I mean, look, when I'm back, like try to come watch. I mean, I hadn't actually been for a while. I think the last game we'd been to was like Aberdeen in the Cup when they won 2-0. I think. So it's been quite a long time. But often, like when I come back up to Scotland, it's like for 3 or 4 days, and that's kind of it. And then you're trying to like run around and see everyone. It's quite manic when I do. But I mean, I'll be following from wherever I'm in the world. But it's it is fun being a Hibs fan. I mean, there's a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but that's kind of what you want, isn't it? That's what football's all about.
So did you chat to the guys on tour, but you know the team they support, and talk about Hibs, and you know tell Alex and Nadal and stuff all about Hibs?
I don't know how many of them know who Hibs are, but I mean, especially a lot of the British guys, like we do our fantasy football and things like that. So I mean, that's a great game for people who are traveling a lot because it kind of keeps you interested in the game, and also you pay a lot more attention to games that you would never have any interest in. You're suddenly getting excited when Burnley score or Crystal Palace keep a clean sheet or something. You know?
I've kind of gone really. I've not looked at my fantasy football team in weeks. I think Aguero's still my captain. He's been injured for a few weeks or something. You know,
rookie.
Yeah, you need to get on that. Yeah, get your wild card played or something.
Well, Jamie, thanks for taking the time to chat Hibs and about your career and stuff with us. We really appreciate it.
No, that's all right. Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing the podcast. Yeah, I always enjoy tuning in and seeing what you guys think of the games and what Hibs are up to. Yeah.
Aye.
Hopefully it'll be a bit more positive now, because it gets tiring, like all this moaning every week.
That's just who you are, though.
No, I've started getting better. I thought the last couple of weeks it's been a bit more positive. Actually having a win or two.
Hopefully keep it that way.
So
yeah. Thanks again, Jimmy. I really appreciate
no worries. Cheers,
man.
Cheers
That's
again.
alright.
Now we're recording this on the 1st of December. I don't know why I had to look and check the clock when I already knew I was going to say that, but yeah, 1st of December today. So there's been a lot of people that have been doing, you know, growing their moustaches for Movember, great cause, you know, for men's health and things like that. So, you know, I've shown you a couple of people that were doing them. Stuart that runs their website, you know, Murray Minter 75, it does the vlogs. Darren McGregor obviously done one. My mate Tristan and stuff. Have you seen any really good moustaches? Been impressed, but I mean 30 days with, you know, is there any that were really impressive?
Nah, your mate's probably the best one. That Tristan, proper Super Mario bushy tache. It's quite impressive.
See, because Darren McGregor's always got such a thick beard,
I
was kind of expecting a bit better from his moustache, if I'm honest.
Wow.
If I'm honest, were you not expecting something just a wee bit thicker?
Player bashing.
I'm not player bashing.
Everything that the club's done for us recently, you're now player bashing somebody's facial hair. That's out of order. Dead personal as well. Just because you've got a thick ginger beard. Everybody's blessed, Gav. I can't go anything. Look at mine.
My moustache in 30 days would be horrendous.
Mine's would blow off.
That's Dave over 30 years.
If you could record looks, the look you gave him now when he said that.
Nah, I'm allowed to rip myself, mate. Don't you start ripping me.
But yeah, we will put in links to a couple of people's Just Giving pages, so if you've got any spare money, you know, definitely help out for a great cause. Now, before we get to a chat with Graeme Mathie, you know, the quizzes have been quite popular, so I thought we'd do another quick quiz. Just do 10 questions this week. Just, if you know the answer, stop me before I finish and just say your name. We're not bothering with buzzers, Dave. I know you love your buzzers, Dave.
That's fine. It's fine.
It doesn't work in your favour. It really doesn't when you do them.
I don't think it's the buzzers that's the problem. I'm too slow off the mark. I like to think about my answers, and Bash on.
Cool, right. So I'd say quite an easy one to begin with. Which defender joined the club on a permanent basis in June 2017, having spent the second half of the season on loan from Celtic the season before?
Stephen Ambrose.
Correct. 1-0 Stephen.
See?
Who scored the first 2 goals in the 5-1 victory in the League Cup over Kilmarnock in March 2007?
Dave Fletcher.
Correct. 1-1. Which former Hibs manager went on to manage Uganda?
Dave Bobby Williamson.
Dave's taking a lead. Getting the hang of this.
I've been practicing.
I practiced in the car when Stuart couldn't get Didier Agat.
Or Stevie Crawford.
Or Hibee's bounce.
I was like, Didier Agat.
Which club did Chris Killen leave Hibs for?
Stephen Celtic.
Correct. There's one about the chairman. I'm just going to skip that one. Okay. Michael Whelan, something like that, the first captain of Hibs. I should probably know how to say his name considering that, but it was also the great uncle of which other captain of Hibs? So he captained Hibs, and then his great nephew
Dave
went on to play for Hibs and captained Hibs.
John Hughes.
Nope. Chance to steal?
Oh, do I need to say my name still?
No, you don't say your name.
Pat Stanton.
Correct.
Shut up. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I just guessed.
It's probably mentioned at the evening with Pat Stanton.
Said nothing.
You were there, right? You might have been at the toilet that bit.
No, I was at the evening with Pat Stanton. I just can't remember everything, Gav.
Okay. Is that 2-2?
No, 3-2 to me.
3-2 to Stephen. Sorry, I'm really bad at counting. If Hibs were drawn to play the Blue Toon in the League Cup, who would our opponents be?
The Blue Toon.
Yep.
You're waiting for me to go, aren't you?
I've got no idea.
I'll
Right
give
now.
you a clue.
No.
No? Okay.
No.
No clues?
Well, do I a clue? Aye.
Okay, they play in League 2.
Dave. I'm going to say Elgin.
No.
No, what are they called? They're Elcod something, aren't they?
Elgin City.
No, it doesn't matter.
It can't be cowed and beef.
No,
Blue
yeah.
Blue
Brazil.
Brazil.
That's why I was confused.
Answer is Peterhead.
Peter Heed.
Peterhead.
I'd just say Peter Heed, like, personally. I don't think they're good enough to have a nickname.
No.
Who was in charge of Hibs at the 2013 Scottish Cup final?
Stephen. Fenlon.
Correct.
What's his first name?
Pat.
Let you off.
So that's 4-2, Stephen?
Yep.
I'm really bad at counting. In the 2000 TV series Rebus, which Heart supporting actor played the part of Hibs supporting detective Inspector John Rebus?
Oh my god. I can see him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the guy's name.
Stephen Robbie Coltrane.
Nope.
Oh,
No.
shit.
So this is in 2000 because 2 people have played him.
Oh, have they?
Mm-hmm. It was originally John Hannah.
I'm thinking of the kind of
Yep.
fat boy.
Aye.
That, well, give me
That's
the
it.
points then.
No.
Oh, because I have got it.
You don't know his name. You don't know how quizzes work, Dave.
I could draw you him. Pointing him at a line out. That works at court. So see if that's the right answer at court. If you get 5 footies up and I pick the right one, then
Well,
that's...
you've only got a choice of 2. And he's already said the other
Well,
one.
get the 2 footies up and I'll pick the right one.
The correct answer was Ken Stott. You wouldn't have got that.
That
would
was
you?
not what I was thinking about.
Which Hearts manager of the 95 to 2000 also played in the 7-0 game?
Dave. Jim Jeffries.
Correct.
4-3.
So guess who I have in my cab? This winger and Hibs Hall of Fame inductee played for Hibs, Hearts, Ayr United in a career lasting from 1960 to 1973.
Hibs and Hearts.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused. I never thought players done that back in the days.
I'll give you a clue. He shares the surname with a current Hibs player. Nope. Any idea?
Stevenson.
Correct.
Is it? Yeah.
I bet you need first name.
No, you
Aye,
you got given Fenlon.
No, and then I says it was Pat.
No, but that was me
Right,
asking you
okay.
that.
So what's his first name?
I know. If you get it wrong, I'm getting the point.
No, you know.
Well, he's not getting the point.
If you get the name, you get it.
John.
No.
Eric.
It's Eric Stevenson.
Eric Stevenson.
Still 4-3, mate.
Nah.
I've lost count of how many questions we've done. We'll do it first to 5. That's fine.
4 each then.
What?
It's 4 each.
It's not 4 each.
I thought it was 4-3.
It's
Oh,
4-3,
I
mate.
get Stevenson.
No,
Commentators say Stevenson. Stevenson has scored.
I had to give you a clue in order for you to get
Exactly.
Stevenson. No, you're not getting it. So it's 4-3. Name the former Man United youth player signed by Hibs.
Dave. Oh my God. David Gray.
Nope. Signed by Hibs in 1999, who scored a hat-trick against Dundee United in 2003.
Oh, I know who it is.
You should have waited.
I know who it is.
In 2003.
Mm-hmm. Tell you what, to make it exciting, if he doesn't get it, I'll let you come in
Yeah.
to try and get to 4-4 and make it more exciting. Pressure's on.
I don't know.
I know it.
Good for you.
I think I know it.
Are you going to
That's
say
a bit
pass?
embarrassing.
I just pass it.
Is it Grant Bredmer?
It's Grant Bredner.
Well
4-4.
Well done. It's about time you got to 4.
So this is you get this right, you win. Who was the top goal scorer for the 2016/2017 season?
Stephen. And Hibs top goal
Hibs,
scorer.
yeah.
Stokes.
Incorrect.
He was stalling there.
You've got a chance to win it. 2016-17.
Season. Jason Cummins.
Correct. Dave has won a quiz.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Get it up, yeah.
You happy?
Oh, I'm out of the minute, that like.
That's the first one you've won, eh?
That's the
Ever
first one as well,
on the 100th episode.
Aye.
That's the one folk will remember.
There was one that I have to, we did say that you had a 100% record with Room 1902.
And I was wrong about that.
And I was wrong about that. You don't, because I forgot that Liam beat you when Liam put forward players wearing gloves and short sleeves, and that beat you that week. So I apologise. You don't have a 100% record. And then when I was mentioning all the stuff in Room 1902, I forgot about that. So I apologise to Liam. Public apology. And the 100th episode as well. So yeah. So we'll get to Graeme Mathie now. He's got a couple of cracking stories. One good one about Conrad Logan. So you guys haven't heard it yet. So I don't know if you're going to. You'll have to wait until the podcast is up like everyone else. But aye, it's really good. So I hope you enjoy that. Me is Graeme Mathie, the club sporting director. How are you doing, Graeme?
I'm good, thanks, Gav. Congratulations on your 100th episode. It's great to be here and speaking to you.
I appreciate you coming on and taking the time. I mean, a lot of people will kind of maybe want to know who Graeme Mathie is, and what kind of makes him tick and stuff. And to start with, I guess quite an important question is: Saturday night, what are you ordering, a Chinese or an Indian?
Oh, that's a great first question. Do you know? It would probably previously have been a Chinese, but now I think in a role as sporting director, and I was very much impressed with Eilish McColgan yesterday when she came and spoke to the development squad. So she came to a point in her life and her career where she realised that university life wasn't for her. She wanted to be an elite level athlete and put everything into performance. So I guess now I've got the title of sporting director, I need to try and follow suit. So I think the Chineses might be a thing of the past from now on, but that would be my answer. In a previous life, it would have been a Chinese on a Saturday night.
What do you tend to order on for the Chinese?
Oh, that's a great question. I tell you really make me think here. We go to a place and we stay in Ayr actually with the family, so we go to a place in Ayr that does a really good chili chicken. So that would be it. But as I say, that's all a thing in the past now, Gav.
So you were centre back in your previous life. How do you look back and reflect on your playing career?
I think you must have read that online somewhere, Gav, because my recollection of my playing career was I was a sub mainly. I didn't have a defined position. But no, I'll be honest. I mean, football's been great for me. I've been involved in the game since I left school. When I was younger and growing up, I had a real involvement in the game just really through my dad. Being involved in with the Scottish FA for so long. So I was around football. I was around football conversations all the time. But no, in terms of playing, playing taught me so much. The one thing I would always say to people is I stopped playing football seriously, if you like, probably around about 23, and mainly due to lack of ability. So a lot of people can talk about a story about an injury or something like that. I had one or two, but genuinely I had a lack of pace and a genuine lack of ability. So football gave up on me, I think, a little bit before I was ready to give up on football in a playing sense. But no, since then I've been so fortunate. There's been some fantastic experiences in a lot of different aspects of the game, and hopefully coming at this new role, it's given me a real rounded CV CV, if you like, and a lot of rounded experiences to help in the job I'm doing now.
So you mentioned your sort of previous experiences there. You were at the SFA and Celtic before. What kind of roles were you doing there?
So I think I started out going part-time really in football at East Fife. So if you speak to any East Fife fans, it wasn't a particularly glory time in their evolution as a football club. So I think I remember going on their fans forums a couple of times and reading a couple of things about me that it wasn't too positive, I guess, in that sense. But from there, I started really just looking into coaching courses. So I started doing these, the early Scottish FA certificate courses pretty young. And by the age of 23 at the time, it was the kind of highest level of working with children, was the old working with children's licence. So I did that. I started working with Celtic in the community, visiting schools in Glasgow and the surrounding area. From there, relatively quickly got offered a kind of full-time place in managing certain projects that they did, and I ended up at Celtic for 7.5 years. So community department for 3.5, and the scout department for just over 4. So that was my evolution. So in terms of managing projects in the community department, and then going in and working under John Park in the scouting department, and learned a lot in that aspect. So that journey, if you like, that period was a little bit of part-time football. I played at Glenafton at the time, but mainly working within the academy at Celtic, Chris McCart being the academy director, and working closely with a guy called Martin Miller, a very talented youth coach. So as I say, in terms of that period of time, I learned a lot about strategy, a lot of managing people, a lot of managing projects, a lot bit of coaching in terms of working within the community programme for delivering football to all sort of ages and abilities, and then working within the youth academy as well. So I think fortunately there was the opportunity to work with some of the players that have broken through and gone into the first team. So it's been nice and very much to see it from afar. I mean, one of my personal things is I get really annoyed with people that will use social media to talk about the influence that they had on players' careers, because the absolute truth is you've got a very small influence in people's careers and the ones that come through. But it's nice to think there was a lot of players at Celtic at the time that have actually gone on to have professional careers, and for me there's a huge learning in that, to think, well, what aspects did they have as young people, and then maybe what did the process look like to see them now going and achieving what they've achieved later on. So again, I very much look upon my whole career, if you want to use that word at this moment in time, with great fondness. Football's taught me a huge amount, but it's given me the opportunity to learn a lot as well. I think I always make a joke that my playing career shows my lack of ability. It was kind of 1-year contracts here and there. The one thing I always did though, I always wanted to show a good attitude. I had more clubs than Jack Nicklaus when you look back and see it in quite a short space of time, but I gave it my best. That's the thing. I was never good enough to go and make it to a particularly high level. There maybe was 1 or 2 injuries at unfortunate times, but so I've learned from loads of people, learned from some really good football managers, learned from some not so good football managers, and then going into the kind of coaching side of things as well, like similar, learning from a lot of good people and some people that do things and you think I maybe wouldn't choose to do it that way when I get the opportunity. So so it's been quite wide and wonderful and varied, and I think now's at a time when I'm probably really focusing in on what my career I hope is going to be going forward. So a broad base of a number of different experiences with a number of different places. So.
And I guess this is quite a broad question, but you came into the club in 2014. How has the club changed since then?
It's a great question. I've been really fortunate to come through this last sort of 5.5 years at the club. So the way things worked, obviously, just as relegation was kind of looking more and more likely, Rod Petrie appointed Leanne Dempster as the chief executive, who appointed George Craig as the head of football operations. So most supporters will know that part of the story. George was already working at the club kind of part-time, if you like, on a bit of a consultancy basis to look at things like the academy in particular and maybe certain parts of the football operation. So he came into that job with a real clear idea of what he wanted to do. Big part of that was restructuring a number of different things. So clearly, Eddie May came in as a new academy director. Craig Flanagan came in as the first sort of head of football science and medicine at the time. Paul Green came in as a strength and conditioning coach. I came in as a head of recruitment, and I don't know whether that title, if you like, had existed previously. So I know John Park did a lot of good work a number of years ago as the academy director, and he had a big handle on first team recruitment, working with the managers in place at the time. And then Steve Marcella came in after him being the kind of goalkeeping coach and head of recruitment. But I think this was probably the first time the club had maybe separated the roles. So there was a first team goalkeeping coach in Alan Combe that came in at that time. There was Eddie May as the academy director, and then there was myself and the head of recruitment. So I think that first evolution, if you like, was good. So George obviously had able to put his own stamp on things, bring in the people he wanted to work with, and really the last 5.5 years has been a brilliant journey. And I know you've got a couple of other things you want to speak about in terms of some of the guests and some of the people that come in, but for me, that really is part of that last 5.5 years, because now I genuinely think the club thinks differently about things. There's different processes and procedures in place, which is important, but most importantly is a building where, one, everybody wants to work together, nobody works in silos, and that's important. Decisions are made, and again, every day with the fullness of time will judge every decision, be it good, bad or indifferent, but decisions are made with a wider focus. It's not just about what's right for the academy right there and then, it's about what's right for the club or what's right for the recruitment department or the football science department. It's about what's right for the club, and that is a change in football generally, not just at Hibs. That's a big change, and there's not many clubs where I think you get that genuine sense that everybody's working together for the one goal. So I'll always credit George and Leanne and Rod and others in the board for supporting that, for making really good strategic decisions to help grow so many different parts of the football club in the way it is at the moment. The unfortunate thing is that doesn't always dictate that you get 3 points on a Saturday, but I'm convinced that it will get it right more often than not, if we can make the right decisions within the framework that we've got.
I mean, in your role of head of recruitment, I mean, I think like Football Manager and stuff, I'm sure like you click on a player, you get scout report, and then you go, right, okay, that is a 3.5 star, I'm going to sign him when you put in a bid.
Yeah.
Process is a lot more than that. What kind of goes on? Obviously you've kind of moved on to this role now, but what kind of went into the whole process from start to finish when you identified a player to them signing on the dotted line?
Yeah, listen,
I mean, you can simplify it as much as you like, and then maybe stages and stuff, but like, because I'm sure it's a long process. But
no, for sure. I mean, I think the interesting thing, you use a Football Manager analogy there. I think there's sometimes you wish you could sort of save it and quit and start again. That's the benefits of Football Manager, and
do that all the time.
It's not the benefits of real life in a recruitment department, unfortunately. But
do you ever play Football Manager?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Like, knowing all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes in a club and stuff, I don't know if it'd be maybe make you look at the game differently.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting actually. So on that side, when I first came into the role 2014, I literally had a desk and a laptop. There wasn't a sort of formal department. There was a few youth scouts at the club, but there wasn't a first team scouting department. And there wasn't a big budget to really increase staff or technology the way that we've got it just now. So one of the first things that we did, and maybe shouldn't say this publicly, but was I worked with a guy who was actually able to get us a Football Manager database, and we could actually use it. So he built using the information in Football Manager, and I mean the front end stuff, so players' current clubs, date of birth, contract expiry, which is pretty accurate. He wasn't taking their player ratings and any of that sort of data into it, but just using that to build a database for our club. So then you could actually
I heard Everton done that with I think Fellaini or something.
That's right. Yeah,
they identified him to the Football Manager and all that sort of stuff. But
so there wasn't really the sort of identification part at that point, but even just the front end database and all the information that you would want from players. So we used that and built basic spreadsheets. So when the guys were going to games, they could fill out reports, and then it would tie up with the guys from the Football Manager database. It became a wee bit more difficult when players moved and stuff. So you had to kind of do I'm not getting too technical about all your kind of refreshes and updates and all that sort of stuff. But no, it's funny you mentioned that Football Manager. So that has been a part of the story at Hibs. But unfortunately, as you say, it's not quite as easy as sending your scout out, picking the right player and sort of signing them, or if it doesn't work, starting again. But so from there, I think one of the biggest bits that we had to do, when Alan Stubbs came in, was build a squad. As everybody knows, there was a small number of players there. And I think it was a combination. That first one, I started on the 1st of August, so we literally had 4 weeks, I think, to build a squad. Again, in addition to the 8 players that were there to try and compete and get out the division. And that was in a league that obviously Hearts were probably preparing for the championship for at least 6 months, and Rangers obviously coming into that division as well. So it was a big challenge, but a lot of things happened there. It was everybody looking at some contacts that they had, working with some agents that they had. At the time, we were trying to build relationships with Edinburgh Uni, so we had a number of different again overseas sports science interns in the building. So it was as basic as using a piece of technology called Y Scout, so it gives you access to any televised game in the world. Even that product's moved on, but at the time we were asking them to download it onto their laptop, use a very basic analysis free tool that they could download, and rather than us sitting trying to sift through 90-minute matches, was just give us maybe 2 or 3 minutes of what that player did. So no sort of data involvement, if you like, no really any real clear analysis work, but literally just give us a 2 or 3 minute highlight of that player over 8 or 10 games, and let's focus in and see whether we think that there's anything in this player to move forward on. So as you can imagine, trying to build a squad in that short space of time was really challenging, but when you look back to some of the players that came in that period of time, you know, David Gray's still here, Scott Allen obviously was one of the first signings that was made as well. Dominic Malonga came in towards the end of that window as well. So again, that was a lot of other pieces coming together. So some contacts, a lot of Y Scout work. Probably at the time, and I hope nobody at the club minds you saying it, you know, the Wi-Fi at HTC wasn't fantastic. So, you know, trying to sometimes watch footage of players from this online software system was a challenge. So, but it was all these things together. But again, I think part of that whole story was about building the club. So not only was it recruiting players that were able to go and play on the pitch, but it was looking at, you know, Jason Cummins really making his breakthrough season there, you know, some talented young players that were in and around the squad at that time. How can they have been made better by the strength and conditioning sports science programmes that were put in place? So you know, whilst recruitment in that first window was definitely a challenge, you know, for me it was the bigger part of the story is about the club growing and thinking differently and doing things differently to get a longer term benefit. But no, since that first window, every window we've tried to evolve the department, we've tried to involve how we think, we've tried to do things a little bit differently. Even towards the end of that first season, it was things like I'm saying to some of the interns that were there, I want a list of every out of contract player in Britain. So a name that came onto that pretty early on in that evolution was John McGinn. So, you know, come September of the year before, we understood there was a young player at St Mirren who was out of contract in the summer, and now we need to start getting people to go and watch him, because we didn't know at that point whether we'd be able to afford them. We didn't know at that point whether he would be interested in coming, but you still need to do the work in order to go through the process, and as luck would have it, the stars aligned and we were able to sign them, I think, the following summer. So it just gives you a wee bit of an insight, I guess, in terms of how things started out at the beginning, but you know, happy to expand a bit more on how we do things now or how it's evolved since then.
Yeah, it just you mentioned there some of the names you've mentioned and stuff, you know, and you say about, you know, people on social media taking credit for things, and you do like to be that, but at the same time it must have been pretty cool looking on when Hibs are winning the Scottish Cup, and you can obviously, there's players like Stevenson and Hanlon that have, you know, came through the academy and stuff, but there's players like, you know, I played a part in them coming here, and they're helping then to, you know, a great achievement like winning the Scottish Cup. No,
honestly, Gavin, and this is no false humility here, my biggest the best feelings that you get is genuinely being part of a group that can achieve success, and I would always say scouting and recruitment is a part of that without a shadow of a doubt, but there's a huge number of people people in that. So John McGinn, for example, and I do sometimes have a bit of a wry smile when you see people coming out, you know, doing articles about their part in his story. Even at Hibs, there's a huge number of people that were part of John McGinn's story. At the time we were asking, or sometimes people would come and say, look, if you get me a ticket for a game on Saturday, I'll go and give you a report. So there was a number of essentially volunteers who would go and watch John and provide us some information on these performances over a period of time. Then there was the interns and the analysts at the time. So by that stage, the process was evolving a bit. They were able to give us a little bit more information. So they were in adding to some of these scout reports. But even at the point where we think we're ready to go and present the information to Alan Stubbs, you know, he's got a decision to make. So the club essentially didn't have the transfer fee to pay St Mirren for John. So I'm trying to do loads of different negotiation for loads of different factors, and I wasn't getting anywhere. So the board of the football club had to make, well, first of all, Alan Stubbs had to make a decision that if there is money to spend, it goes on this guy. It doesn't go on 2 or 3 others that might benefit the squad. And then the board need to make a big decision and say, well, actually, we're not really seeing that money there in there, but we're willing to back the football department on their decision, and we're willing to go and spend money bringing them in. So even to get to the point where it's viable and possible takes a huge amount of time and effort and work and a lot of big decisions. But then as soon as he comes into the building, you know, there's a well-resourced football science and medicine department that has absolutely made him better. You can see his body shape's totally different than the day he walked in the front door at Hibs. His athleticism has improved tenfold. but that's only because these people were there, you know, and these things became part of what the players were able to access every single day. It wasn't something that was sort of just there in the background and optional if you fancy it. It was absolutely part of what the working week looked like, and that's benefited him hugely. But you know, as you say, you go back to when people take credit, the biggest person that's taken John to the level it has is John, and this is something now that I look over my whole career. There's so many little things that you pick up and you learn and you see is important. But the next big evolution for me in football in particular is about psychology and mindset. Because if we can consider all the signings that have been made at the football club over the last 5.5 years, they're all different. You know, they've all come from different leagues. They've all come from different you know, even different challenges with the teams that they've had previously. Some of them have been in Scotland, some of them have travelled, some have travelled on their own, some have travelled with a family. And if we look at the ones that we think maybe have worked out well, and the ones that we maybe thought actually that we would have expected them to do a wee bit better, the one constant, and at the moment anyway, we're still looking through this piece of work, but the one constant and the ones that we think have done well is mindset, mentality. You know, and that's probably the hardest bit to assess before you get somebody in your building, but quite clearly the biggest impact in terms of whether a player can be successful or not. So I know I've gone on a bit of a long journey there, but it's just in terms of things we've been learning. So we definitely use data more now in terms of being able to identify players in the first instance and potentially pick between 2 or 3. But that is the next big evolution in terms of us as a club. Is we genuinely know that we've got a very strong football science and medicine department. The medical provision that the players get is excellent, but also the strength and conditioning and physical preparation is first class. And now we're looking into the kind of psychological elements now as well, and see how can we build a really good framework in there that allows players to maximise their potential because of their mindset and their psychological capabilities as well.
And you know, you talk quite a lot about getting all the information on the player. How does that work with someone like Conrad Logan, who hadn't played in 18 months?
Yeah, it's a great question. Conrad's a brilliant story, and again, it probably, I need to say from the outset, it absolutely comes back to mindset and character as well. So the story with Conrad, I actually, and again, when I speak about, sometimes people just saying, you know, I'll come on a trip with you, as you fancy, get me a ticket for a game and go and watch it. Kevin Harper and I took a trip down to the North East England on a Saturday. So at the time he was doing commentary for Hibs TV and various things like that. So I think the first team were either away from home or didn't have a game. So we went down. I drove down to Bury to watch a game, and I dropped him at Rochdale, where Conrad was on loan. So I'd said to him, look, we've got information again. This player's out of contract at Leicester. He's a goalkeeper. He's had quite a few loans. He's maybe somebody that might be in our realms of possibility. Although at the time, financially, we couldn't afford him. But I just want a report. I want to have something logged. So Kevin gave us a really good report about Conrad. We're having a good chat on the way back up the road. And actually that was probably one of the last reports we had on him. So I'd had a number of others, but Kevin's report would have been the last one he had, I think, before he got injured. So even just to have that type of information logged in a system somewhere meant that, and again, this is one of these phone calls I'll never forget. I actually went to Inverness. It was only a few days after we lost the League Cup. And personally, I'm always quite motivated to be about when things aren't going well. So it wasn't my job necessarily to go and watch the first team as a head of recruitment. But see, after you've lost a final, it's amazing how at the final everybody wants to be there, you know, and on the route there when things are winning. I'm always conscious that a head coach will be inundated with people wanting to text them and wish them well and everything else when things are going really well. But your phone tends to go pretty quiet when they're not. So I'm a wee bit the opposite. I'll want to be there and be about when things aren't going well, because I think it's important to support the people who are on the front line. So after the Ross County game, I'm thinking, you know, on a midweek, do I really want to be travelling from here to Inverness to watch a game? And there was a couple of other things happened. Just I think my car was in the garage or something at the time. But anyway, I managed to get there because I thought it was important. And of course, I'm watching everything unfold. You know, Mark Oxley gets suspended. Otso comes on. Otso Virtanen comes on in the last few minutes of the game, and I'm kind of fast forward and thinking, right, 2 or 3 weeks time we've got a Scottish Cup semi-final, and we've really only got one goalkeeper available to be involved in it. At the time, I think Alan Comey just had some pretty bad news that Alan Stubbs didn't see him as an option for the game. So so at that point it was you know, I think I just hit Aviemore on the way home in the car. I got a phone call from the bus from George Craig saying, listen, you know, I think you know what's coming. I think we need to try and find a goalie for the semi-final. He says, phone the manager. So because I phoned Alan, I said, look, you know, are we looking for a goalie to play, or are we looking for a goalie to sit on the bench? Because at this moment in time, there's never going to be. It's March, I think. So we're looking for an out of contract goalie that's in relatively good condition to come and potentially play in one of the biggest games of the season.
Yeah.
So Alan was always good at it. He would never sort of say, "Well, we'll just look for somebody on the bench." No, we need the best we can possibly get. Go and find me the best we can get. Best goalie in Gala. I'm not sure it's going to be a particularly long list, Gaffer, but I'll do my best. But no, it was digging back into it, and again, the story with Conrad is even little bits of detail in that. So we asked him to come and train, which you would expect. He's no been fit for a long period of time, and I must admit, I've laughed with the agent since that. He told me he'd been back training for a month, which I only found out after he played in the final wasn't the case. He'd been back for 2 days before we actually brought him in. So the first thing you obviously notice, and Conrad won't mind me saying this, he's always been a very big guy in terms of a big, powerful goalkeeper. So he was out of shape. There's no two ways about it. But he trained with the reserves, I think, at that point. And Alan Combs' assessment was, look, he's got a great voice, really good personality. He said he's actually getting about the goals quite well, and he's making saves. So let's not discount him, even though he obviously doesn't look to the eye as if he's absolutely ready to play. Yeah. So then again, when you talk about the people who are in the building and the structure, the head of football science is somewhere between Craig Flanagan leaving and Nathan coming in. There's a woman called Sandy who actually worked with Edinburgh University, so she was the kind of head of football science and medicine at the time. So she was then able to make a decision and help in that process. So she gave him an outline medical and said to the staff, listen, if you want to bring him in and try and condition him, he'll probably break down with an injury. But if you actually just train him at this level, then he will be fit to be involved in that game, whether you want to play him or not. So there was a couple of reserve games, I think, leading up to the actual semi-final. So he was able to at least get on the pitch. But that was quite important in that journey, that there was an assessment made of exactly what he could do over the next few weeks. It wasn't just, let's sign him, give him 3 sessions a day and try and get him fit. It was make sure that you do this to allow him to play in that big game is what we wanted him for. So again, that was 2 days I think he came in for. It was a Friday. And Alan Stubbs and I had kind of loads of conversations over the should we do it, should we not, should we look for somebody else, what we're thinking, here's the assessment, are we saying that this guy's going to do what we need him to do in the next 2 weeks. And ultimately we sort of came together. It was really late on a Sunday night and said, look, maybe we just ask him to come back. It's not an ideal situation for everybody. We don't want to be unfair on the guy, but we probably do need to answer a few other questions before we make a decision. And again, I mean, Conrad's expecting, in fairness, a decision to be made yes or no over that weekend. So I phoned him. It was about 9 o'clock on Sunday night, and I said, listen, I'm just going to be really honest with you, because I always think that's the best way to be with people. And then if somebody makes another decision, at least you can look yourself in the mirror that you've talked them into a situation which they're not expecting. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, we really like you, we really like your personality, but you were making saves, the medical department think they know what they need to do to get you fit to play in this game, but at this moment in time we can't just stick our neck out and say there's something there for you. Would you be willing to come back for another few days, and by the end of this week we'll be able to give you a decision? No problem. He says, what would time's the flight? I said, well, I can book your flight. I said, it was 7:30 in the morning from Birmingham or something. No problem, I'll be on it, I'll see you in the morning. So, literally from 9 o'clock on Sunday night, I'm picking him up at, 8:30, 8:45 on Monday morning, and that's it. He's there, he's ready to go. And even silly things like, we negotiated an outline contract, as it wasn't the numbers that he was used to earning elsewhere, but the accommodation, he actually stayed with Calvin Charlton, the analyst. Quite happy. Look, just put me in there, great, no problem, low maintenance, easy guy, just really keen for the opportunity, wanted to be there. And everything I talk about Conrad, clearly it was a kind of comic book story, wasn't it, what happened in the semi-final, but it's all down to his mindset and his mentality. If he didn't show us that mindset and mentality, we wouldn't have signed him, no chance. And that's probably the biggest. If anybody ever phones me about a reference for Conrad Logan, I would talk about that. His attitude, his desire, his mentality, his mindset, and listen, his performance on that day, everybody can look for themselves. But it's great, and you love just seeing guys like that do well. But it's funny how guys like that always tend to do well, because that's probably one of the big defining factors, I think. Yeah. So
I was sitting beside Stephen that day, and Stephen had written him off before the game at the first whistle, and we with Stephen wasn't alone. There's a lot of people sitting us around doing the same.
Of course.
But and he proved them all wrong.
It's funny. I mean, I was driving down to Oxford actually to watch a game that day, so I was listening to it. I think I just got a wee bit further down south where Radio Scotland cut off at the time. So I've got a few people messaging me and texting, that's another save he's made, but then I did hear all the kind of chatter before the game as well. But there's loads of big calls in there. I mean, even just to have him in the building was good. But Alan Stubbs made a really big call to play him. really big call. And this is the thing I always think about making decisions in football. If one of those goals had gone in and we'd lost the game, I'm fairly sure we'd have all been criticised for that. But as luck would have it, or the stars align, or whatever you want to call it, he didn't. He had the game of his life, and he got us into the cup final and the rest history. So it's good.
Yeah. So I guess kind of looking a bit more recently in the last few months, your role kind of came on under a bit of scrutiny. It's fair to say.
Yeah.
That some of the new signings hadn't worked out, but with the process in mind, and how well you knew these players, how confident were you that likes you see Doidge and Nola, how well they're doing now, that they would prove people wrong?
Of course, this is always a thing, and I was asked about it quite a lot. Even when we were unveiling Jack, there's been criticism for the recruitment department, and listen, criticism in football and performance sport, it's weekly, and that's part of what you sign up for. And I've said it, if you want to be immune to criticism, don't work in performance sport, particularly not in football. But and I suppose that is the hard thing, because we transitioned a lot of players in the summer, which is always a challenge. We wanted to do certain things like have greater control over contracts, so try and reduce the number of short-term loans or short-term contracts we were giving people, and we wanted to get a better balance over ages. And this is probably one of my biggest learnings coming into managing a recruitment department over the last 5.5 years, that you probably think that if you can move to a club with a bigger budget, life's easier. It's not the case, because the same challenges that you have at Hibs with the budget that we operate, you have at every club, because you need to try and find a player in the position that you want and the style of play that a manager wants to play, who's available within your budget and wants to come, and is available probably at the time that you need them. So there's loads of different things that I'm learning. Like there's quite a few stress points, particularly in a summer transfer window. So first day of pre-season is a bit of a stress point, because a manager wants as many of the players together as he can, so you're trying to be as proactive as you can to get them done there. The first friendly is a bit of a stress point, because the supporters are expecting to see some new faces, and again, a manager wants as many players as he can to start preparing for the season. The first League Cup game in the middle of July is a stress point, because by that point it's competitive, so again, Paul makes a decision rightly, because he's trying to prepare the players for a long season, to say, right, I'm leaving certain senior players out against Stirling Albion because I know I can work them harder at the training ground than I can on the pitch, and we don't win. So he's made a decision, and with a great value of hindsight, people are able to criticise it. But then there's other stress points when we get through that and the league season starts, and then coming towards the end of the transfer window. So you imagine your work starts in earnest really in May to try and get some things over the line, and you can be judged on that period by the end of August, and within it there's 4 or 5 different periods of time where people are expecting bodies in the building and players to come. So getting the guy that you want, who's available at that moment in time within your budget, etc., makes it challenging. But all I can always say on these type of things is see if you believe in the process that you've got, which we do, and you believe in the people that you employ, which we do, and you believe that they're working hard and covering the areas that you want them to cover, then you'd like to think that you get more right than wrong. And that's why we did that big project over the last 5.5 years, is really trying to ask ourselves the questions and really analyse ourselves and the decisions that we've made. Mm-hmm. Is there anything in particular that we're missing out on when we're trying to assess a player? Is it the level they've come from? So that I mean, again, I'm going to be open now, so that a few things about is from a previous season a player being relegated actually a defining factor in whether they go on to be a good player at a club who's wanting to win more often than not and be up the top end of the league? John McGinn was relegated from St Mirren before he came, so you look at those type of things and think, well, actually John did really well for us even in the first season. And there's players that we've signed who have actually achieved promotions in the not too distant past as well, so that in itself might not be a particular defining factor in terms of whether somebody's successful at the club. We're doing a lot more work now in terms of integrating people, and even down to simple things like I've got quite a big thing in my mind now about like integrating their family. So actually for a wife or a partner or a family to walk into the players' lounge on a Saturday is probably more daunting than a player walking into the dressing room. Because at least a player getting into the dressing room, you're likely to know somebody or have a connection with somebody via 2 or 3 people removed. And you're all there to do the same thing, which is to play football. So as soon as that ball rolls in your first training session and you take a decent touch and you play a good pass, you can relax, because now you're in the environment. But for your wife or partner walking into a players' lounge, that's different. You know, it's you're trying to find who you might have something in common with, or you know, who you might go and speak to, or whatever else, or who maybe lives near you and that type of thing. So you know, it's simple things we think that can make that whole process of transition into a club better, and ultimately, hopefully, get the players performing better quicker.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that, it kind of makes me think of, you know, Josh Vela. I heard a great point last week that he has been at Bolton since he was 8. This is his first experience of, you know, a different club. You know, so that's going to, you know, be a difficult thing for on a human level to transition into.
Yeah. I think that's sometimes the things we forget, is we're all human, you know, and we've all got loads of other things going on in life, you know, that you need to deal with, and sometimes that either helps what's happening on the pitch at the weekend, sometimes it doesn't, and that's where, you know, Jack Ross has been very impressive in that side. You know, he's massive on building relationships with the players. You know, he wants to know loads about them, he wants to really get to know them, and that will ultimately help him understand how to try and get the best out of them as well. But no, that's sometimes I think the thing we forget. You know, players can be a name in a newspaper and a name on on an article somewhere, but they're more than that. They're people, and there's loads of other things that can contribute to them settling quickly and performing well. Lots of things.
So you're now, you know, I guess got a promotion, I guess, to the sporting director. You know, leading up to getting in that appointment, how did you deal with, you know, speculation around your name? Because I'm guessing that was something that was quite new to you. You know, you were linked with Kilmarnock and Rangers, I think, and, you know, and your name's in the papers. How did you deal with that?
No, I genuinely, these type of things, if your name's ever going to be a newspaper, it's nice if it's in for something relatively positive rather than something where you get criticised. But and I mean this very genuinely, I'm not somebody who gets overly emotional when things are going really well, and I don't get overly emotional when things are not going very well. So, you know, links to other clubs and these type of things, one or two of them I understood where they came from, others I had no idea. So, you know, some of them, sometimes the things you read in newspapers are really wide of the mark as well. But I think I've said it, you know, I wasn't actively looking to leave the football club, and that was a period of time where it was difficult for everybody. There's no doubt about it. But it wasn't my desire to leave. George, Craig and I have got a great relationship and are always very open with each other, and George had talked about a plan for him stepping down, and I think in his mind and his wish was for me to sort of step up and take over from him, but clearly that wouldn't have necessarily been his call, you know, so there's other people at the club to make decisions. There's a new owner in place now as well who might have had different thoughts, and the story of how it all came about was quite similar. That George and I had loads of time with Ron when he came over in the summer, talking about what we're doing in our different departments, how we see the football department moving forward. And Ron's a guy who's just got unbelievable energy. I think George and I seem to think, well, most of the time that we can keep up with most people, but I'm sure George had about 3 hours with Ron, and I had 4 hours with him straight afterwards, and the 2 hours are lying in a corner and sleeping, and Ron's still going. You know, he was fantastic. So I think, again, George probably just took a bit of stock and thought at this stage in his career it would have been quite difficult maybe for him to keep up with that level of enthusiasm and energy and drive to take things forward for a longer period of time. And my story was, as soon as I kind of experienced that, when I'm thinking, I want a bit of that. You know, I'm now at a stage where I'm wanting this new experience, new opportunity, and I'm really wanting to match him if I can and give it all I've got. So you mentioned Eilish McCogan. I definitely couldn't match her around a running track, but hopefully I can match Ron Gordon's energy and enthusiasm with what he brings to the club. So that's the plan.
So for those who don't know, kind of what was kind of, I mean, you kind of touched on it briefly, but kind of what was the roles and responsibilities of George Craig, and what's going to be your roles, and how will yours differ? Because I mean, it's a slightly different title. How will yours be different? Yeah,
the title's different, but I guess I mean, the best way I can look to explain it. So Aberdeen have got Stephen Gunn in a role as a director of football operations. So Stephen's background has been sort of football administration based. I don't want to use the word club secretary, but a lot of things like that. You know, looking at maybe devising contracts and various things like that, and looking at how the football operation works. And his relationship with Derek McInnes might be different to Ross Wilson at Rangers now, when as the director of football, his relationship with Stephen Gerrard. So again, Rangers have got a very well resourced academy, for example. So I don't know how much of Ross's time is going to be taken up. I don't know if he's managing that, but really driving things in there, because he's got a lot of staff that can do these things. So I'm just giving a couple of examples of how the title might vary at different clubs, but it's all down to really somebody's individual skill set, I guess. George grew a lot of things here, and if I'm honest, that was one of the biggest challenges I had in trying to think about taking this job on. what was there to improve? You know, George had built things for 5.5 years with the support of Leanne and Rod and the board and others, and resourcing elements of the football department. So I'm not coming into a job and looking at it going, I need to go into this gym and try and find some folk who can help me build a strength conditioning sports science bank. It's already there. You know, I walk into a room now which has been the third evolution of the analysis department, because it's grown arms and legs, because there's now another couple of people in there to work alongside Calvin Charlton, but there's a room full of interns that come over from Ireland on a year-long work placement, and they're involved in loads of different analytical projects. So I don't need to build that. You know, I look in the recruitment department, I think, yep, there's scouts now covering games more so. There's opposition analysis getting fed in on a weekly basis. There's people who go in there and analyse, you know, things like I've spoken about, like out of contract lists, and you know, just keep a handle on using a lot of the software programs we've got that can lead us towards players. So there isn't in that infrastructure side of things anything that needs built. Georgie's skill set was very much managing people. His skill set was very much looking to get people alongside him who are drivers and doers, you know, and that's something I love working with these people, you know. So I keep coming back to, you know, Eilish McColgan doesn't come in because somebody's been told to organise it. Eilish McColgan's come in because somebody's really proactive and thinks this would be a really good person. I've got a contact, I'm going to explore it, and Eilish is one of a long list of people who have come in to speak to various different people at the club, because as I say, I think that's the culture that we've got down at the training centre now, is people just want to do stuff, people want to drive things. And that's the biggest excitement for me coming into this role. So my skill set is different to George. You know, he did a lot in terms of the academy strategy for a period of time, working really closely with Eddie May and a guy called Tom McFarlane, who does a lot of work in there. And George, in fairness to him, let me experience and drive a lot of, you know, player recruitment beyond the kind of nuts and bolts of getting the players to the table. So I did a lot of negotiations with agents. I did a lot of you know, looking at contracts and things that you probably would associate with somebody in George's position. So I guess this evolution makes it a bit different. So with George leaving the building, there's a skill set there that we need to look at. With me stepping up, there's probably a good 60% of things I was doing before I would continue to do, but now I'm getting, you know, asked to be involved in a lot more things. So I guess it's just now a case of trying to manage the time, see what's appropriate, and see how we can make sure that the right things are getting delivered at the right time.
And you mentioned sort of Eilish McColgan coming in there. So what was she kind of doing at the club yesterday? What was she doing? So
it's funny. I got an invite to there's a law firm who sponsors her. There was a breakfast meeting in Edinburgh on Wednesday morning, which I went to. So she spoke. It was a bit of a question and answer. So she spoke about a number of things, and there was 2 or 3 things out of that really struck me. So one was her unbelievable mental strength. She talked about used to be a steeplechaser. She was doing a race once, and I think she landed awkwardly off the hurdle and actually ran 600 metres with a broken heel, to the point where she goes to, you know, see a surgeon, and she's like, it looks like you've been involved in a motorcycle accident, you know, but because she's got this drive to finish the race and complete what she was doing. So again, this was really early on in her career, but so that was one thing that struck me, was actually, you know, sometimes you look at people on your telly and you think, you know, they're at an Olympic level or world level, right, fine, you know, can they go and win a medal, can they do this? But even to get to the level that she's at this moment in time is an incredible achievement. And she spoke on Wednesday again about, you know, something that I'm really interested in. I'd love to come back and speak about this in the future, but, you know, this idea of how young people develop. So I'm not convinced, and I'll leave you with this line if you like, but I'm not convinced in Scotland and in Scottish football we've got it right in terms of talent. And Ailey said something to me which I wrote down, and it's really struck with me, that nobody that won in her generation in Scotland that won junior titles is still racing. So, and that's fascinating for me, because we in football, I think, look at who are the high performers, who are the kids that influence games and have got technical ability beyond their peers when they're 10 or 11 or 12. But I'm now starting to ask the big fundamental question, is that an indicator of long-term success? And I'm not convinced it is. So Ailey's talking about that, saying, well, I'm now working and operating at a world level and an Olympic level, winning European medals and being up there. I think 10th in the world she was at our last event. You know, and she wasn't somebody who was winning all these events when she was younger. Fascinating. So those are 2 things that I took. The biggest thing I took from yesterday, listening to her speak to the development squad, was how much of a clarity she's got about what she does. So she's 29 years old. She's an individual athlete, which maybe gives it a bit of a different context, I guess, but, you know, really specific about her diet, you know, what she needs to be eating, really specific about things like, you know, having 8 hours sleep. She said, I know that that's going to help me perform at the best, so I get 8 hours sleep. It's a non-negotiable in my life. she touched on the kind of drug culture in athletics, which I guess is pretty standard for any clean athlete. But, you know, a stretching exercise, I don't go to bed before I go through a stretching routine, you know. You think just little tiny things like that, she's saying that will allow me to get closer to these Kenyans and Ethiopians who dominate the sport. So I'm going to do it because I want to be as good as I possibly can be. And I guess that's probably something that we would love to see in football across Scotland. You know, can we get young people who are so dedicated to their sport that these things become second nature? I'm going off on a wee tangent, but I always remember, you know, as a young player, my dad would say things to me like, and I'm going back like 20 odd years now, but I went away with Coventry City to a youth tournament, and I travelled with my football boots and a hand luggage and a water bottle. That was before the days you had to give up your water bottle at the departure lounge, if you like, but or going through security. But that was it. So I went on this trip with Coventry City, who were an English Premier League club at the time, as a trialist with my football boots in my bag and my water bottle. And I was sort of called out as being somebody who's got a brilliant attitude for taking his own fluid and taking responsibility for drinking water. You know, as I say, it's gone back 20 years, and my daughter now plays. She's 10. She plays with a local team down at local AstroTurf, and I got a text message from one of the coaches about 2 months ago saying, you know, please don't forget him as water bottle. It's really important that she gets a fluid coming out. Listen, my daughter enjoys it. She runs about. She kicks a ball. I don't think she has any visions of being a professional footballer. But that was, you know, so in 20 years, the whole thing in football about hydration and fluid has changed so much. From me being singled out as being somebody who's got a brilliant attitude to me now being chastised for not giving my daughter a bottle of water to go and kick a ball about on a Friday night at local pitch. You know, it's funny. So I suppose I just want to see, you know, other challenges like that. So what can we do to get to the point where there's 29-year-old footballers standing up and telling the world about how they train and they stretch at night and the amount of sleep they get because they know it's so important to allowing them to perform the next day or
all those 1%'s adding up.
That's exactly the way she spoke about it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and you had touched on there's probably more scope to kind of come back and sort of speak about, you know, youngster development and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
you need a longer session for that. I've got been my bonnet about some of these things, but no, I definitely do that.
So I tell you what, we'll finish up with just a couple of silly quick fire things, and then we'll let you go because we know you're a busy man.
You threw me with the Chinese stuff. I always know any harder questions than that.
Well, just quite similar, I guess. What's your favourite box set to watch or to binge?
Oh, good question. Do you know, I actually, Jenny, I'm not ducking a question on this, maybe a quick fire, so forgive my long answer, but right. No, I don't tend to watch many series. Although my wife and I watch a lot of like British dramas that are on TV, so we tend to look at that. So if anything box set, we'll store them up and watch them a few after the other. So
is there any TV shows you're kind of binging at the moment or watching at the moment?
Do you know, and this is not looking for any sympathy, but I'm generally not having enough time at the minute, so I'm kind of coming in, putting my kids to bed, getting a laptop out, ignoring the telly, and so hopefully that will calm down over the next few weeks. But I'm not watching a thing at the moment, not a thing.
Sky Sports or BT Sport?
Good question. It might be controversial because of a new TV deal with BT probably. I think that's pretty standard for Scottish football fans.
So do you do in the house? Do you do the cooking up or the cleaning up? Cooking up. Cooking up's not a phrase, but you know what I mean.
No, I'm gonna really embarrass myself here. I do as much tidying up as I can. I'm not a cook. My wife does the vast majority of things in the house, and she does it very, very well. Actually, to the point where if I try, she tends to take over because I don't do it well enough. So I don't know whether that's a bit of experience in there. So I'm quite happy with that.
What was the last movie you saw in the cinema?
We went with the kids to see the Addams Family 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was good. That was good.
And finally, you know, why should Hibs fans be excited about future? You know, Jack Ross now in charge, you and the sporting director. Obviously, all the stuff coming on. Yeah. Just a couple of sentences of why Hibs fans have got a real reason to be excited about the coming months and years.
Do you know, for me, Hibs fans have got a reason to be excited because they support a fantastic football club. That's the first part. I'm so fortunate and lucky now to lead a really talented group of people at HTC who are desperate for the club to be successful. And you know, and I don't mean this as any cliche whatsoever, because but I think it's important that supporters know. Against Motherwell, there was a spell in the game for 20 minutes when the team was under the cosh, there's no doubt, and this is a new experience for me watching Hibs every week. You know, I kind of get the updates on my phone or updates on Twitter when I'm normally scouting and watching other games. The supporters helped the team get a result that day without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. And even on Tuesday night away at St Mirren, the numbers that came were fantastic. But there was a spell in the game where we were struggling to get out. St Mirren were putting loads of pressure, and the supporters start singing and supporting the team. So it's not a cliche. It genuinely helps to get results, and that's a Hibs I want to be a part of. It's a Hibs I want to see, and it's a Hibs that I'm privileged to work for, and want to continue to see that. And on the flip side, I would love us as a football staff and department to give the supporters something to cheer about and be excited about going forward, as I hope we have done over the last 5.5 years.
Yeah, brilliant. So I mean, this is going out after the Kilmarnock game, but just last question then, what's your score prediction for tomorrow? For the
Kilmarnock have always defended very well and make life difficult, but obviously we are showing an ability to score some goals now, so we'll go for 2-0 Hibs.
Brilliant. Cheers, Graeme.
Thanks very much, Gav.
So, to celebrate our 100th episode, Casuals Attire got in touch and said they'd be happy to give away a custom 5x3 foot flag to a winner of their competitions. The competition is simply going to be, if you make sure you share or retweet, whichever it is, on Facebook, on Twitter, the post for the 100th episode, we will pick somebody at random and we'll put you in touch with Casuals Attire for your free flag. They also do stickers, flags, towels, loads of stuff like that are custom made. We got our Hibs Talk podcast flag. Anybody that was at the open day at Easter Road in the summer would have seen that was by them. So yeah, they're great for that sort of stuff, but you've got a chance to get a free one. All you got to do is share the podcast episode on either Facebook or Twitter, whichever one you prefer, or both, to double your chances. Why not? Anyway, on with the rest of the show. But what did you think of the interview with Graeme Mathie then?
I've not heard it yet, Gav. The Jamie Murray one was good.
Aye, because you were there for that one.
Yeah. I actually invited to that one. Gav's getting a bit too big for his boots.
That's just a wee bit.
Starts doing stuff himself.
Magic editing.
You going to tell people you're going to go and do the co-commentary for Hibs TV?
You can tell folk that if you want.
Gav's got to go and do the co-commentary for Hibs TV.
They couldn't get anybody, so they're scraping the barrel because nobody will go up to Ross County, so they've asked me to do it.
That wasn't Gav's real response. He was like, I'm big time now.
Hardly.
That was your response yesterday. That's me made it. I'm big time now.
The Ron Burgundy gift might have been shared once or twice. But looking forward to it. It should be good. So, it'll be freezing now, eh?
It will be really cold, mate.
Aye.
If you thought it was cold on Saturday, then enjoy that.
Aye. But it should be good. So I've done folk are heading up, listening to this on the way up.
I'm working too late. That's the problem with being so far away.
So we've got Aberdeen. I don't think we're going to get one in a podcast in before the Aberdeen game. We might try to, but I can't make any promises. But just to say, there's the food collection. You might have seen, if you were at the game, you've seen people advertising for anything. And there was a good thing with Porteous screaming, remember your food donations, which was good. So yeah, bring along what you can for the food donations. And if you're not going to the game, you can hand it in to the club shop Monday to Friday this week. So make sure you do that if you can. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening. If this is your first time finding us because Jamie Murray's retweeted it or something, then hiya. And subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and stuff. You can find us at HFC Talk on our social medias. So yeah, thank you for listening. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed the 100th. A couple of interviews. Like I say, there was meant to be another special one in there, but I'm sure we'll sort that out with them in a few weeks. They've just been the busy people. So we'll get that sorted in the future. But yeah, so thanks guys for helping with the first 100, and here's to the next 100.
You're welcome.
Cheers, man.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Road, that is our home, and up from office seat, oh it's a treat when you see the bright lights up in the sky. We're watching our team and they're making a scream. Oh, the high beat, we got green